Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the June 2nd, 2026 Mid-Hudson Regional Information Center's District Data Coordinator meeting. We have significant updates today. We might even go a little bit over time, so just be aware of that, please. And let's get right to it. I've seen a lot of people already sign into the chat. Thank you. Please remember everybody to sign in with your full name and your district name. Mute your microphones, please, and turn your cameras off. This meeting is being recorded. We also have chat monitors, so if you do have questions during the meeting, you can feel free to put them in the chat. Our agenda for today includes this welcome, go over logistics of the rest of the agenda. We'll have our due dates and timelines coming up first, followed by updates and reminders. This does include this time of year, a special end of year section. So that's what's going to put us over time a little bit today. We'll have what's new, which is basically this time of what's new for the 26-27 school year coming up. We'll look a little bit ahead and time permitting, we'll have voice questions. But like I said, if you do have questions during the meeting, you can put them in the chat. Otherwise, you can send us an email. So let's get started with due dates and timelines. Michelle.
Thank you, Helen, and good morning, everyone. There are several dates of interest that we'd like to highlight in the June to mid-September timeframe. Before we get started, please note the links at the top. We have the 25-26ers reporting timeline, the reporting roadmap or Gantt chart, and our import schedule. All right, so now on to the dates. Typically, our deadline is noon on Wednesdays. We know we've had a little bit of issues with level 0, particularly yesterday. So we're going to extend that deadline for this week until Thursday, June 4th at noon. So that is the first date that we'll be talking about. So starting with Thursday, June 4th, the final L and immigrant student counts data are due. These data should reflect the counts at the time of the pull and are used for Title III L and immigrant allocations. And also on June 4th is the final enrollment data for UPK students. The Office of Early Learning will use these data to confirm counts of UPK students enrolled on Beds Day and Child Count Day, which was March 13th, 2026, for the purposes of verifying final UPK payment amounts. June 24th is the monthly deadline for demographics, student enrollment, program services, day calendar, and student daily attendance data. On Monday, July 6th, the staff evaluation data collection opens. LEAs can begin to submit scores and ratings under their 3012D or 3012E educator evaluation plans. SE events data is due on July 8th. This is the last date for the third submission of special education events data for the date range of July 1st to March 31st. July 22nd is the monthly deadline for demographics, student enrollment, program services, day calendar, and student daily attendance data. Special ed end of year data is due on August 5th. This is the last date to submit data populating the VR 10, 13, 15, and 16. On Monday, August 10th, NYSET will take an extract of student enrollment, course instructor assignment, student class entry exit, and staff assignment data. This data will reflect data migrated the prior week by noon on Wednesday, August 5th, and is used to link student growth scores to teacher and principals for informational purposes. These results are not used for accountability. Districts must certify data in the PD system for the VR 10, 13, 15, and 16 on Monday, August 10th. Final SIRS data are due for us at noon on Wednesday, August 19th to meet the August 21st deadline. All student and staff data, except for staff eval and SE events, specifically the VR 11, 12, and 14, will be frozen after this deadline. This date also marks the final date for data pull for summer 2026 EBT. This will include student enrollment, address information, FERPL eligibility to calculate summer benefits. Finally, although not a SERS collection, I do want to mention that the PD8 suspension data, which reflects counts of suspensions for students with disabilities, is due on August 21st as well. On Monday, August 24th, a Regents extract will be taken by NYSET for accountability and student growth purposes. On September 4th, this is when the end of year data certification is due. So this is no later than Friday, September 4th. Submitted through the IDEX, this statement of certification certifies that the data submitted by the end of year reporting deadline in August. September 9th, the special ed data for the VR 11, 12, and 14 are due. This also marks the last date to submit 25-26 SE events data for the date range of July 1st to June 30th. Finally, on Monday, September 14th, the certification in the PD system is due for the VR 11, 12, and 14. And with that, we will move to our updates and reminders, starting with Sam Viaz from our Special Services team.
Maybe, if she can figure out how to work her computer. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. We don't have a ton of updates. This will pretty much just be a touch base of everything that Sarah went over from last month. Not too much has changed, thankfully. So this should be pretty brief. First up is the real update on your auto imports. The PD system has opened to begin accepting data for your COSIF and end of year data. Those auto extracts have begun running as of this week. Just a quick note, there are a few districts that have not seen imports just yet due to an issue on Frontline's side. So if you haven't seen data loaded yet, please don't be alarmed. We have identified those districts and are working quickly with Frontline to get that corrected. Next, we have indicator 7, our VR 15. This is your preschool child outcome summary or COSIF. Anytime you see SPP, that means it's a state performance plan indicator, meaning that your district is on that 6-year rotational schedule. And so you only have to worry about certifying once every 6 years. For the 25-26 school year, only the districts listed on the screen will need to certify. Certification this year is August 10th. And again, that data source is the assessment fact extract from Frontline. Indicator 11 or your VR 11, this is part of your SC events. All districts are responsible for reporting this information. It is no longer part of the SPP rotation. Certification for this indicator tracking child find timely evaluations and eligibility is September 14th, 2026. Indicator 12, also part of your SC events. This indicator tracks your students transitioning from early intervention to preschool special education. Certification date is the same, so September 14th, 2026. For both indicators 11 and 12, districts have been required to submit data quarterly ahead of this certification. So this data has been importing from level 0 or into level 0 all year and is available for viewing in the PD system. This is also a good time for us to remind districts that use of the word error regarding these verifications means two different things to your DDCs and your special education offices. So we encourage you to work closely with one another to make sure you're clear in those communications, just in case you're helping to assist with that data cleanup. Next, we have our VR 14, which looks at special education referrals for students attending non-pubs in your district. All districts have to certify this, even if you don't have any non-pubs, but it's super easy for those that don't. You just have to certify 0 for the year, and that is the same certification date of September 14th. End of year snapshot or your VR 13 is another certification that all districts have to do every year. This end of year snapshot tracks your preschool children who were provided special education programs or services throughout the school year. The certification date for this VR is August 10th, 2026. And again, those imports just began yesterday on June 1st. For the districts that have had successful files run so far, you will begin seeing that data populate in the PD system in the next few days. Indicator 8 for parent involvement. This is a survey that's conducted through the Potsdam Institute. NYSED will reach out directly to districts that have this due. Only those listed on the screen have that indicator due for this 25-26 school year. And then state plan indicators 13 and 14 are run simultaneously, again, only for the districts listed here. This is another indicator that tracks qualitative data instead of quantitative data that's not housed in Frontline. So NYSED is going to reach out directly to those districts that are affected for this rotational year. Your VR10 is a report of students with disabilities exiting special education. Your data related to this VR is available in the PD system, although there's likely not much at this point in the year. We typically see an increase in those numbers as we get closer to the end of the school year. Verification for this, verification for this VR is August 10th. And again, all districts are responsible for certifying this. The important note here is that the data comes from two separate sources. Your disability information will come from Frontline, but that exiting information is going to come from your student management system. So this is another key area where you have to make sure that you work together with your special education office for any discrepancies that you may find. Your suspension data, your PD8, Michelle just touched on this. This is another report all districts have to certify. That certification date is August 21st for 2026. Not all districts house their suspension data in Frontline. Most do. So it's just important if you're a new DDC or new in your special ed office that you find out where that data lives ahead of that certification. And of course, if you have any questions on how to get it out of wherever it lives to certify, please let us know. Submission in Frontline will open up typically after the end of the school year. It is not available just yet. Your VR16 for CEIS and CCEIS, that certification is August 10th of 2026. Again, only for districts that are identified. We did just get that list. We will be sending an email out to districts that are affected. But for the majority of our districts, unless you know for sure that you have been using your funds for in your particular district, either voluntarily or by requirement, you don't have to worry about this. Of course, if you have any questions, please let us know. And then just a quick wrap up. So again, due on August 10th, you have VRs 15, 13, 16, and 10. August 21st, you have that suspension data in your PD8. And then finally in September, you have those special ed events indicators due for VR 11, 12, and 14. Important to you as DDCs really are these migration deadlines. Again, we want to make sure that that data has moved in time for it to get where it needs to get for certification. This is another area where I feel that conversation between your special ed office and your DDCs are really important because likely your special ed office is making changes right up until the final hour. So communicating these migration deadlines with that office to make sure that everything is where it needs to be will be critical here. And that's it. Please, so as we know, our Sarah is out for the next couple of months. So Sean and I are manning the ship dual-handedly here. So please make sure that you send any questions or concerns to our group email to make sure that we have an opportunity to get to you as quickly as you need. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. Next up, we have, I believe it's John from our testing services team.
Yep, it's me. Thank you, Helen.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. John Zeos with testing. To start off, we'll talk about the 338 and NiceSlot. We're currently in the process of scanning the sheets. The 338 sheets were due back May 22nd, so we started scanning those. The NiceSlot are not due until this Friday, but we're scanning what we can with NiceSlot if we've received it. Then with the 338 CBT, everything finished as of the 15th for administrations, and all non-tested codes were due by the 22nd. So if you're looking through your CBT data and you notice any discrepancies, at this point it would have to be assessment cleanup. But if you let us know, we will make a note and we can do that when assessment cleanup opens. And with the NISA testing window closes this Friday, so all testing and special circumstance codes must be entered by then. There's a drop dead deadline on that. And now with the June regents, the administrations are going to start June 9th with the new tests, but as the conversion charts are released, which first one shouldn't be released until June 17th, end of day. If you have any, or if you'd like to request SMS files, just be sure to submit those by email to your listed contact below or the test contacts email to get all three of us. All right, so Pearson score collection. So we talked about this briefly, and that we've reached out to everyone who was selected for it. But the ELA, Algebra 2, Physical Science, Chemistry, and Physics, all being administered the 9th and 10th. Those will be part of the Pearson testing, and we have several districts that were selected for that. So as the testing happens, we will be reaching out again to each of you just to kind of follow up and see how progress is going, so we can be sure to provide the testing data to Pearson in time for their deadline. And lastly, we have some news on WIDA. So with WIDA, SED just announced about a week ago, they have 2 webinars coming up on June 11th and June 16th. You don't have to register for the webinars. They're open to anyone to attend. They're just going to be live streams through Vimeo. But if you're unable to attend them on the 11th and 16th, they are going to record them as well. But the first one is just a welcome, which is essentially for any educators. And then the second one is an Online Technology 101, which would be more for the coordinators, administrators, and tech coordinators. But we highly suggest attending both of them, just because there will be a lot of useful information announced. I mean, we've heard very little on WIDA so far. So my team, we're all planning on attending, and we suggest all of you attend as well. And that's all we've got. But if you have any questions, know where to reach us.
Thanks so much, John. Now on to my team, the data collection and reporting team. We will start off today with Pam keeping us on track.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, so this is a slide you're probably familiar with. So we have some good news in some areas, obviously, that still need work. So keeping this part short and sweet, I'm not going into the details of these numbers this time because we've talked about that before. Please note that there are currently 28 districts that have at least one L1C error. So that's more than half of the districts in our region who have data that is not migrating to level 2. So, and looking at the warnings, all districts and BOCES currently have level 1C warnings. Now we realize not all of those can be cleared, but certainly need to, take a look at those and clear what can be done. We highly recommend that you run the level 1C error report for your district to determine if some of your data is not getting all the way to level 2. And as I mentioned, I'm going to skip the details on that because really the details from your district report is the important thing to take a look at. So please continue to work on this, between now and the the closing date, and we will, keep an eye on it, and we'll obviously answer questions should you have any as to how to clear any of those errors. Okay, and the next area is the UIAS report. So here's where we stand. We have made some progress in bringing these numbers down, so thank you for your attention to this, but there's still significant work to be done here. So, keep at it. I mean, these are all indications of enrollments that may not be accurate. And, obviously that's a significant number across our region. So that's what I've got to say this time. Please, put it on your calendar to take a look at these reports and, work on those numbers. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Sam for some additional reminders.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Pam. Okay, so the June task list has been released and it's ready for your review. I just want to emphasize that how important it is to keep on top of the monthly tasks, especially when you're managing New York State data reporting. This checklist could be a good tool for keeping your LEA on track. Instead of like waiting till the deadline right at the end of the year, it just allows to help you manage and stay steady on those needs. So just treat this as your monthly roadmap. If you haven't looked at it, take a peek. The link is right here, and we'll share these materials with you later as well. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to pass it over to Michelle.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
As mentioned during our dates of interest segment, final L and immigrant student counts are due Thursday, June 4th at noon. These dates should reflect the counts at the time of the poll and are used for those Title III L and immigrant allocations. To verify, use the SERS 652 Annual Title III Allocation L Immigrant Counts Summary Report located in the Annual Outcomes folder at Level 2. Although a report guide is not currently available for the SERS 652, you can see the screenshot on the slide that shows the summary counts for each group, and the hyperlinks allow you to drill down to view the student level data. All right, and Pam is up with some additional reminders.
Okay, so continuing the topic of L students, so we're going to shift gears for a minute and to briefly discuss the exciting event that occurs every August. And I know you all highly anticipate it. And for those of you who have done this before, you'll know just how exciting and anxiety provoking this event can be. So the good news is there's nothing you can do yet. The bad news is you will likely not get the information to complete this step until shortly before the close of the data warehouse, which is what causes all the excitement and anxiety in August. Okay, to be honest, SED often historically has missed the deadline and the data is not available until after the data warehouse closes. But fear not, we have always been given an extension when SED does not get the data to us in time, but sometimes the results are available with only a few days to spare. So what can you do? So students are exited based on the results of the NYSA slot and the 3 through 8 ELA and the Regents. All three of those test results can play into whether or not a student is exited. And the NYSA slot and the 3 through 8 ELA results are often not available until, quite close to the deadline. So how do you plan for this? Well, just know that from the second week of August to the beginning of September, if the data is released late, someone in your district must be available to make these changes. So if you're planning a vacation, you just want to make sure that someone is aware that they may need to step in for you. But we do have some additional good news to help you through this process. And moving on to the next slide. So let's take a brief moment to take a look at why students, what the qualifications are for a student to exit. Okay. There are two reasons that a student is exited from ELL eligibility, which is Program Service Code 0231. Students must be exited on June 30th, 2026 if they meet these requirements this year. The first requirement is, the first benchmark is if the student scores commanding on the NYSA slot. And in that case, you will exit them with a 3011 exit code. The second option is that the student scores expanding on the NYSA slot and meets one of 3 additional educational milestones. Either they score proficient on the 3 through 8 ELA, they score a 65 or higher on the Regents, or they passed an approved alternative to the Regents in English. If they meet this combination, you will exit them with a 3022 exit code. There is sometimes confusion about exiting students who score expanding. In the past, I've had folks question if they must exit these students or if it is optional. SED guidance is definitive here. If the student scores expanding and meets one of the other 3 criteria, they must be exited from ELL eligibility. Okay. Another note about ELL students and their eligibility, which I'd like to offer some clarity on. Once a student meets the criteria to be exited, they will continue to receive support services. Now, many ELL teachers will say, but I'm still giving them services. That's fine, but they are no longer eligible to be reported as ELL. Okay, even though they are receiving services, they are officially exited, and the services are pretty standard for all exited ELL students. And finally, please keep in mind that once ELL eligibility record is ended, other records may also need to be ended, and we showing that on the next slide. So if a student's 0231 ELL eligibility record is ended, you must also end a SIFE record, the 1232 and the 5709 ENL program record. The following program services code should be ended if the student is no longer in the program, but may be left open if the student continues. So that would be the one-way or two-way dual language programs and TBE. Okay, and also a reminder at the end of the year when you get your NYSA slot test results, if the student scores transitioning or higher, the SIFE record should be ended. So that's actually the criteria to end the SIFE record is when the student scores transitioning at the transitioning level. Okay. And I'm going to pass it back over to Sam for some additional information on things to help you out with exiting your ELLs.
Thank you, Pam.
Sure.
Okay, so these reports here will help you easily identify which students need to be exited from L eligibility. And as Pam mentioned, timing is going to be key for this. So once the NYSA slot results are officially released, which, you know, as we said, happens right around the end of your deadline, these reports are typically updated the next day or the day after, but very soon after. So you can find this first report under verification reports on level 1 by navigating to assessments, and you're looking for that L tested out student list. There is also the other report underneath the NYSATEL and NYSA slot folder, and that is the NYSA slot student list by location and assessment. So you just want to keep these handy as they're going to be incredibly useful for your cleanup once those scores drop. And also on level 1, you do have that search box that you can always use. So let's take a look at one of these. So here's a screenshot of the L tested out student list. So like I said, it's going to be very helpful. So once those L exits are updated and migrated in level 0, you can check this report the following day to see if all the students show as updated. So you'll notice on the left column, it says ended program correctly. There's a Y, so you're looking for a Y in that column to make sure that all of your students have been exited appropriately. All right, so for now, I'm going to...
Sam, I'm just going to interject here for a moment. I just want to point out that when this report is updated by Winnie Rick, notice that it says the 3011. It actually tells you which exit code to put.
Yes. that's
There
true.
may be a timing situation if the 3 through 8 ELA scores are not available as soon as the NYSESLOT scores are. You may need to go back to this report more than once, once those 3 through 8 scores are available.
Usually, yeah, that's the
yeah.
case with those.
Yeah, so just be aware that you could go through it once and then there might be, and of course, there's not a lot of students who exit with expanding, but there may be one or two that you need to go back and double check on. So,
Thank you, Pam.
sure.
All right, so I'm going to pass it back to Michelle.
Thanks, Sam. Just one more quick L reminder. Please don't forget about the L Quick Reference Guide. It's a valuable resource that includes guidance on L programs, services, L exits, on L verification and reports. All quick reference guides are available in the Data Warehouse Resource Library on the MHRAC website, and the new search feature makes them easy to find. All right, and so with that, I'll pass the baton back to Sam.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Okay, so the pre-K deadline, due to the extension we're granting, is now June 4th by noon to make sure that your data is migrated. So that's just a few days away. The deadlines do sneak up on us, but this is a very important one. So be sure that you're checking your CERS 333. So on there, it does show the snapshot dates of March 20th and June 5th. So just keep in mind, like I said, those aren't the MHRAC deadlines. Those are just the dates where the data is captured. So NYSED is going to be taking the highest counts on either Beds Day, which was October 1st this year, or Child Counts Day, which was March 13th for your pre-K funding. And I also have linked the memo that does explain this whole process in further detail with the coding for UPK. And this is the final data pull for this. So just be sure that you're checking your reports if you haven't already. Okay, so totally changing gears, something different. We're going to talk about career and technical education reminders, so CTE. So BOCES and districts with an approved CTE program, you should be loading your CTE data regularly. If you aren't importing this data regularly, this is your friendly reminder to make sure that this is happening. And just you want to get into that consistent habit of submitting data early. It will help and go a long way in helping your BOCES and districts prevent that hectic like end of year rush. So just as emphasized on this slide, it's a prime collaboration opportunity. Notice there's like a little bit of a theme today with that. So BOCES, you want to ensure that the data or the CTE program provider is made available in a timely manner, so that the districts have plenty of time to review. But on the flip side, also districts, they should be verifying that CTE data and it's available. So you want to be looking at your CERS 305 or your CERS 345 reports and just communicating any missing pieces, or just making sure that all of the data is updated for your students in these CTE programs. So just make sure we're opening up those lines of communication as we go through this year. So a little bit more information on CTE. Now, nothing has changed with this. This is all reminders. So what needs to be reported? So the program provider, you're going to need to report that CTE program, which does include the intensity. You want to verify that's accurate of a participant or concentrator, and if the student completed the program. Also the technical skills assessment, and then work-based learning. Once the student reaches those 54 hours. So that'll be reported as a student class entry exit record for that work-based learning course. And remember, that could be this year that they reach the 54 hours, or maybe they reached that last year. So it could be in a different school year. So the District of Accountability, as usual, reports the diploma if the student earned any CTE endorsements. And this is where that collaboration is going to be key. So the district and the BOCES, you're going to want to ensure that it's being reported accurately. So while the district is reporting the diploma, that BOCES, you're going to be wanting to look at your reports and making sure that the district is reporting it correctly. If the student did earn that CTE endorsement. And if the diploma is reported inaccurately, then the BOCES, you'd want to contact that home district to update that. And this is to ensure, that the BOCES funding is correct as time comes later. So just keep this on your radar for this summer. I know we're in early June now, but once your diplomas are reported, so just keep that in mind.
Sam, you had a
Okay.
comment that also that communication is important for any students earning the CDOS credential, not just
Oh,
the
yes.
endorsement. So
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
sure.
Absolutely. All right. So changing gears a little bit. So just another reminder for Partner Project FACT PPF is for the P-TECH Smart Scholars and Smart Transfers. And you can see like the full definitions of all of them in SIRS, of course. And BOCES does not report PPF records to SIRS. I just want to put that out there. Now, districts with P-TECH programs, the three we have are Ellenville, Kingston, and Newburgh. Now, on the right side here, the districts on the right, you would only be reporting a PPF record if your students are attending that Duchess Academy for Mechatronics and Smart Technology. These are the districts that were on the list from the state ed list that we received. And I also did include the link on the left for the P-TECH and Smart Scholar Transfer website. The link for the Smart Scholar and transfers, it does include reportable locations. So if a student of yours is attending one of those locations, then a PPF record would be reported for that student. Unfortunately, State Ed doesn't provide a list of districts that could have students at those locations. So you'll want to go into that link if you haven't and see if you have any students that are attending any of those particular Smart Scholars or transfers locations. So also just a reminder with PPF, when that PPF record's reported, the student credit GPA must also be reported. And that's a separate domain in Level 0. It just opened up yesterday. So that is now open for imports. So if you see your district on this list or and you're not participating, or if you don't see your district and you are participating, you want to reach out to State Ed via data support because this list is directly from their websites. All right. So changing gears again. This is just a quick reminder. We did speak about it last month as well. I'm mentioning it again because it's historically an underreported area, but it doesn't have to be. So again, the SIRS manual does have like 6 full pages of potential staff assignment titles. So directors, coordinators, social workers, psychologists, etc. So there's all different ones. Just ensure that, go through the list, see if there's any that you haven't reported. And there is a section on the Level 1 data quality report card to help you look at your staff assignments and help you verify or look at your data. Okay, so now this time of year, it is, we're going to talk about exiting staff who have retired or maybe have left the district in the 25-26 school year. So just keep in mind, there will be no auto imports for Envision after June 30th. They will be shut off to potentially, we're trying to prevent mixing that new school year with the 25-26 school year data for staff. So that's why we're shutting them off. But because of this, you'll want to ensure that all relevant 25-26 exiting staff are processed in your system before that cutoff date. Otherwise, manual edits will be needed in Level 0. So to help everyone keep on track, and all the details that go with this, we're going to be sending a email reminder out to DDCs, and also the finance team is going to be sending it on June 15th. So so keep your eye out for that. It'll just have all the different scenarios and steps that you'll want to follow to prevent any issues with your staff data. So just keep a lookout for that message so we can wrap up the staff data smoothly. And for now, I think I'm going to be passing it back to Pam.
Everybody follow the tennis ball. We're just we're bouncing all around this morning.
I know.
So
Keeping it interesting, the one voice the whole time, maybe,
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
So
Keep
yeah, I
them on
think
their
this is
toes.
it's a short list of things to do at the end of the year, so anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the other areas to remember at the end of the year is to report other assessments. Now, luckily, here in the Mid-Hudson RIC, a majority of your assessments are reported by our testing department. So thank you very much to them for that. But, and there's always a but, there are some other assessments that districts need to report themselves. So don't forget to do this work. And I'll explain here, go through the list and give you the reasons why these are important. So in the advanced or ADV category that was introduced a few years ago to consolidate the alt, reg, and the CCR categories. If your students have taken AP or IB assessments, you'll want to report those as they will impact accountability calculations for your students who have successfully taken those exams. In the area of CTE assessments, those should be reported by the provider. And in most cases, that's the BOCES, but there are some high schools who have approved programs, and they should ensure that they're reporting their technical skills assessments as well. In the area of LOTE, languages other than English, also known as world languages, should be reported for all students who took and passed a LOTE pathway or Checkpoint B exam. So anticipating the question, no, you do not report Checkpoint A. We get that several times a year. We're only looking at Checkpoint B or the LOTE pathway exams. And you can, so make sure that you're reporting those. And SEQ or CDOS assessments should also be reported. We don't typically get very many of those. And finally, as Sam Vias had mentioned earlier, the COSF. If your district is required to report those this year, you want to make sure that you import those to the data warehouse. And yes, Sal, the LOTE is for passing only. So, all right. And so that's that there. And moving on, we're looking at graduates. And so just a brief overview. So congratulations to all those students who do graduate this year. And we've included some information here in the lower right on students who will graduate in August with the dates that data will be required. But that will be within the 26-27 school year, but the information to be reported is the same. So now it's entirely possible to upload what you think is complete information for your graduates and get absolutely zero errors in level 0. But please keep in mind that does not mean that everything is 100% accurate. So here's a good checklist of what you need to report for every graduate or completer who has met the qualifications. Most important is the credential type. This is used as a measure of school performance, which will be reflected in your school report card. So accuracy here is critical. Did they earn a local Regents or advanced Regents diploma, or did they earn a credential such as an SACC or CDOS? Did they earn a CTE endorsement? And that's Sam had spoken earlier about the CTE information that needs to be reported and coordinated with your BOCES if they are attending BOCES. And if your student earned a local diploma, was it awarded based on a superintendent's determination? So, there's a lot there to look at and make sure you have all the details correct. One area that's often overlooked, did the student qualify for honors or mastery? I highly recommend that you check out these specific definitions for these categories. Now, your guidance department should be well-versed in all of this. But if you look at your data and you see that there are no students reported with honors or no students reported with mastery, you might want to dig into it a little and ask a few questions to ensure that, maybe a new counselor overlooked that particular piece of information and you may need to update it. There are several reports that can be used to verify your graduation data, and you'll want to review those reports thoroughly and pay special attention to any category that currently displays a 0, as I just mentioned. Okay, in addition to credential type, all graduates and completers must have a career pathway specified. Can't talk this morning. Make sure that the career pathway you select is valid for that specific credential type. And don't forget your seals. These are reported using program service records, and they are reported in the year of graduation. And make sure you also include students who may have actually earned those seals in a prior school year. Don't forget your grade 9 entry date. This is critical for your accountability numbers because the students will be grouped with the cohort based on the grade 9 entry date that has been reported. And finally, you want to end the student's enrollment. Don't forget to do this or the graduation won't be reported. And with the appropriate exit code. It's a lot of details, but all of them are vital to ensure that your graduation rate and your college career and civic readiness index are completely accurate. It's just a quick review, but it serves as an excellent checklist to have by your side as you're entering this data or reporting this data. Okay, and I'm still going. Okay, so move on to end of year information. And I'll kick that off with talking about the SERS 401. So there are some key items you'll want to check off your list as we approach the end of year. Since they aren't typically reported until now, this list should give you a good roadmap of the data you'll be focusing on for the remainder of the school year. To ensure nothing slips through the crack, I highly recommend that you do a complete review of all your program service data by checking the SERS 401 reasonableness report. Make sure that you're checking all the boxes for end-of-year reporting, including graduates, seals, level 0 assessments, and provider-reported CTE data, so everything is fully verified by the deadline. Okay. Yeah, the SERS 401 is a very useful useful report for checking all of these. Moving on to the next, SED has okay. I'm talking a slide ahead. Next, take a look at the final deadlines for our end of year reporting. This is a critical timeline, so you'll want to lock these dates into your calendars. First up is the end of year verification and migration deadline, which is set for noon on Wednesday, August 19th. Please ensure that all your data is completely loaded and verified by this noon cutoff. Excuse me, sorry about that. We highly recommend that you set an earlier internal deadline to finalize and freeze some areas of your data well before the absolute final time deadline. Following that, the absolute final end of year certification deadline is 4 p.m. on Friday, September 4th. So make sure you're pacing yourselves over the summer so that you can meet both these targets smoothly. Also ensure that for reports that need to be reviewed for people who do not work on a 12-month cycle, that you are looking at that information early rather than trying to verify data that is not as familiar to you when the people that you need are no longer in the office every day. Okay. Next, SED has released the end of year grids for 25-26. There are 4 of them. Most of you will want to download the blue version in the lower left-hand corner for public and charter schools. And our BOCES colleagues will want to take a look at the yellow version in the upper left. So please download these grids and plan for your final review, verification of your data, and certification. Next, in previous years, we've also provided our MHRIC version of the grids, which not only shows you the information as to which reports need to be certified, but also shows you who we recommend reviews each of the individual reports. Since the state reports just came out, we have not updated this yet. But we will distribute those as soon as possible. For now, we recommend that the newly released SED versions should be used to determine which reports should be certified, and that last year's MHRIC grid could be used to determine who should review each report, except for the new reports, of course. But we're working on that, and they should be out. The MHREC version should be out shortly. And I am going to turn it over to Michelle.
Thanks, Pam. As a reminder from last month's meeting, the 25-26 staff evaluation collection opens July 6th with data due Friday, October 23rd. For our region, data must be migrated from level 0 by noon on Wednesday, October 21st. Be sure to confirm whether your LEA is operating under Education Law 3012D, 3012E, or both, as some districts may have separate plans for teachers and principals. Most districts in our region are expected to remain under 3012D. In preparation, please confirm that all teachers and principals subject to APPR are included in Staff Snapshot before it closes in August, and ensure all required observations are scheduled and completed by the end of June. All right. So last month we shared some staff evaluation resources with you, and we have expanded the microlearning series with 3 additional modules to further support your understanding of the staff evaluation data collection process. The original resources, including the infographic in Module 1, focus on key due dates, along with the new modules. So the original and the new are available through the links provided in your meeting materials, and were also added to our resource library on our website. So Module 2 in the series explores APPR plans and summaries. Module 3 examines how scores and ratings are determined under 3012D, as well as how evaluation data is managed in Level 0, including verification and certification processes. Module 4 is a bonus module tailored specifically for districts operating under 3012D that do not have a designated source system for staff evaluation data. This module provides guidance on building a Level 0 import file. At this time, we are only aware of one district that may be transitioning to 3012E, and we would be happy to work with that district separately to address any questions or concerns. For more information about 3012E, also known as the STEPS plan, please refer to the link located in the box on the right. This NYSED webpage includes a wide range of guidance documents and webinars to support your work. As noted, LEAs must adopt a STEPS plan under 3012E by June 30th of the 2031-32 school year. In terms of staff evaluation due dates, the first required action item involves the 2025-26 Annual Educator Evaluation Plan Implementation Certification Forms. A mouthful. These forms are now live in the NYSED Business Portal within the SED Monitoring and Vendor Performance System, and must be submitted every school year. This includes forms for both 3012D and 3012E. Your deadline to submit these certification forms is August 28th, 2026. However, please hold off on actually submitting them until you have fully implemented your plans for the year. A quick note about the business portal and how this is going to work. It's designed to only display the specific forms that apply to your LEA based on the plans you've implemented. Because of this, there's no need to require or request any additional forms. Finally, if you run into any issues or questions, you can reach out directly to the Office of Teacher and Leader Development at educatoreval@nysed.gov. And now Sam has some additional resources to share with you. Sam?
Thank you. Okay, so last year we debuted the end of year end game micro learning modules, and they have been refreshed for this year. Again, they're ready for your review. They have a lot of great tips and tricks. As you can see, there's 5 different ones. And once that MHRAC grid is updated, I'll also update it in the modules, but otherwise it's ready for anybody to look at. All right, so moving on, the level 1 directory has been updated for this month for the 9 new MHRAC report guides for June, and there is one updated guide as well. So since we're in assessment season, you'll notice that some of them are assessment related. And in preparation for the next CRDC collection, I know everybody's favorite thing, we've updated the report guides. And the level 1 CRDC report, it won't be available until usually early December every collection, and at that time we'll further update the guides to match any changes for that new collection. So as usual, you will need those pass keys located at the top there to access these guides, and they are on our resource library, and you can share those pass keys with other school staff, not just DDCs, if you think that any resources or report guides would be helpful to them. All right, so again, I'm going to pass it back to Helen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam. So you might think end of year is like end, but it's not. So the remaining items after end of year deadline include SC events and staff eval. You can check out the SED's timeline right there. So we'll move right into what's new for 26-27. So just to say as a disclaimer for the next few slides, these are not to be implemented in the current year's data at all. It's not going to be used until 26-27. So I also see the time, it's 9:57. We understand if you need to leave. This is being recorded and will be sent out within the next couple of days in our data news e-newsletter. So if you have to go, we totally understand. We hope you'll stick around as long as you can. So there are some crucial updates regarding New York State's dual enrollment programs, the vital partnerships that allow high school students to earn transferable college credit. Under Education Law Section 319, there are 2 major deadlines we need to track. First, partnership agreements. All participating school districts, charter schools, and BOCES must submit formal partnership agreement to NYSED on or before September 1st of 2026. Secondly, data reporting. So starting with the upcoming 26-27 school year, both P12 and higher ed partners are required to submit annual participation and outcome data. Finally, the state is enforcing strict curriculum standards. So any course offered must be listed in the college's catalog and maintain the exact same learning outcomes, materials, and level of rigor as the courses taught on a college campus. So please ensure your programs are aligned and ready for the September deadline. Next, let's look at staff tenure snapshot and discuss the tenure area codes for the upcoming 26-27 school year. SED has confirmed 5 brand new tenure area codes that will be available for reporting in SIRS. You can see them listed on your screen here. Please keep in mind that these will take effect starting with the 26-27 school year. Do not use them for this year's end of year reporting. An important technical note regarding how this will function in your systems is that the lookup table for the tenure area will update to display these new names. But any previously existing codes are not changing. This may be more relevant for the next slide, so I'm just going to go ahead to the next slide because there are some modifications that are coming as well. So these are those mods for the tenure area code descriptions for 26-27. The lookup table for tenure area will display the new names, but the previously existing codes will not change. So SED can ensure continuity in a year-over-year reporting. So on this slide, we have a list of 7 existing codes. Please note that only the descriptions have been modified for these codes. The actual underlying codes themselves are not changing. So for example, on the bottom, if you look at the last row for SFL right here, the previous description was secondary foreign languages. That makes sense. SFL, secondary foreign languages. But that's no longer going to be used. So going forward, it's going to be known as world languages. And again, the change is going to be handled automatically in your system lookup table. So there's nothing you need to do about that. But again, because the codes themselves will remain the same, SED ensures that there will be complete continuity for year-over-year reporting. As a reminder, all of these slides do have links to the vendor support page for more information. There are also some important changes to the SE events reason codes for 26-27, specifically regarding to what's entered in field 20. So New York State is introducing 3 brand new reason codes that you can see here. These 3 codes will all share that same description. And additionally, there are 3 existing reason codes that are being modified. And that same logic holds for these modifications, that the existing code will remain the same. It's just the description of it will change. Please make sure to review these updates with your special education data teams to ensure accurate reporting for the new school year. These are some more new codes for 26-27. This time they are the state course codes. Again, please do not use these for the current school year. These come next year only. Next, I'd like to tell you about some Muppet dates for the coming school year. Demofrogics or Student Light. So we have additional frog contact, Ribbit were available. Home phone number and area code, and frog at Principal Lilypad. If none available, list the number where green is most likely to be found. If the number is being protected for legal reasons, please use the format of area code plus all goose eggs. You will get an error if you use all zeros, but we won't stop you from doing it. We're just informing you of what SED expects you to see. So there is that area code with the zeros. And just a reminder that frog numbers should only include numerals only, no alpha. For course codes, lastly, there are some updated course codes muppeted to state assessments that I'd like to mention. As you can see, chemistry and physics courses are still in a transition period. Please ensure your assessment and course codes align closely with the actual curriculum being taught. While this list represents updates for the 26-27 school year, that last part pertains to the current year as well. So I'll say it again. If your course name doesn't exactly match the state provided course name, assign the code that most closely matches the actual curriculum being taught. And you can refer to the NYSED course code catalog for the full listing, and there's a link for that right here. So those were some key updates and deadlines for next year. I want to leave you with a toolkit for all of that information. If you need granular data formatting guidelines, the templates for template and collection requirements link is your starting point. Right below that, we have SIRS guidance, which, as you know, is somewhat of an encyclopedia for state reporting rules. Remember encyclopedias? And of course, to track mid-year policy shifts, bookmark the latest memos page from NYSED. For anyone managing APPR data, the staff evaluation guidance and the direct staff evaluation questions email are highlighted here to keep your to help you navigate the nuances of educator data. Finally, if you are ever unsure about mapping curriculum to the correct state identifiers, the comprehensive state course catalog link will give you the complete updated master list. If you have a general high-level policy question that isn't answered in the documentation, you can always reach out to us, Data Warehouse at mhric.org, or directly to the state team at the data support email address. That's here. I highly recommend saving this specific slide or copying the URLs into your bookmarks bar before the reporting cycle kicks off into gear. So that last section was all about looking ahead to 26-27, but we do have a couple of other items to discuss. Starting off with the CEDREF and BOCES virtual locations, otherwise known as BOVL, which are critical updates and they're critical administrative checkpoints that ensure the state's directory of our institutions and officials remains accurate. So regarding CEDREF, otherwise known as the State Education Department reference file, we have some news. NYSED is currently upgrading the update process to be a more streamlined self-service application. A new interface is scheduled to go live sometime later this year. So stay tuned for training materials and access instructions as we get closer to that rollout. Regarding the BOVL listings specifically, in previous years, spreadsheets were sent back and forth between SED and the RIC and the BOCES. Going forward, the RIC will be submitting the BOCES changes on the BOCES behalf once that application is rolled out. But the BOCES should be on the lookout for instructions from us on how to actually get those changes to us. So that'll be forthcoming. While this time of year sees a higher than normal turnover rate, we know that folks come and go throughout the year. So please remember to notify us when this happens, as it helps us plan for all of the items you see listed here on the screen, and most importantly, helps with our ongoing audits of application access, such as level 0, level 1. And at this point, we do know that there are some folks in this meeting who are retiring after many years of dedicated service. So out of respect for privacy, we're not going to call anybody out on that individually, but we invite you to unmute your mics at this time if you would like to share and let your regional colleagues know about your retirement news. We do ask, though, that if you are unmuting your mic, that for the same reasons you announce your retirement only and not someone else's. So if there's anyone who'd like to make that announcement, go ahead and unmute your mic now.
Hi, this is Kathy Hoey.
Hi, Kathy. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we're kind of echoing here because we have two people in the room, but wait 1 second. Now I have to unmute. Okay. Yeah, just want to, I am retiring. I'm actually officially retired, but I've been staying on to transition. My replacement, Dan Carrion, who's also on the call with us, and he's been doing a great job. But I want to thank all of you at the RIC for all the help and guidance you've given over the years, all my colleagues who have helped given guidance. And I'm really going to miss everybody, but I am going to be also sticking around a little bit for the transition. So thanks, everybody. It's been wonderful.
Congratulations, Kathy. We have nothing but good wishes for you.
Thanks so much.
Is there anybody else?
I think Arlene put something in the chat. to say that she doesn't have audio, but will be retiring June 30th. And she thanks everyone on the RIC team for everything over the years. Congratulations, Arlene.
Awesome. And that's for anyone who doesn't have the chat and is just listening. That's Arlene Daiba from Tuxedo Schools.
Yes.
Congratulations, Arlene. Okay. Hearing no others, we'll move on to the list of 26-27 DDC meeting dates with registration links for each. Also a reminder that today is our last DDC meeting for the 25-26 school year. We will not be holding meetings in July or August. We do, however, distribute our data news e-newsletter over the summer months. So just keep an eye out on your inbox for that in July and August. As you can see, our next meeting is scheduled for September 15th. So if you haven't already done so, please register for those upcoming meetings. You can, unfortunately, it's a one-at-a-time registration situation, so you can do that on a monthly basis, or you can get it all out of the way for the whole upcoming year all at once, if you set a few minutes aside for yourself. So as always, the DDC meeting recordings and artifacts will be shared via our data news newsletter. So keep an eye on your inbox for that within the next couple of days. Starting on June 29th and running through August 28th, the MHRIC enjoys a summer schedule, which affects our help desk hours. So during these dates, our closing time gets pushed up to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and on Friday, it will be 8 to 1. Emails or calls that are received outside of our scheduled hours will be handled as soon as possible when the help desk reopens the next time. So also know that we are closed on holidays, and we do have a couple of holidays coming up. So we will be closed on Friday, June 19th for the Juneteenth holiday. And we will also be closed on Friday, July 3rd in observance of the Independence Day holiday. So here are just some more contacts and resources for you that we always have. And unfortunately, we are way over time, so we're not going to have any time for questions. As always, though, you can send us an email, and we will do our best to help you out. We are having a BOCES DDC meeting. Let's reconvene at 10:20. So we're going to take a little break. Again, today was the last meeting. Have a great awesome summer, and we will see you then.
Have a good day. Thank you.